Movie Thing show where we see movies in the theaters and then tell you what we think about them. I'm Meg Turney.
I'm Ross Everett, and in this case we saw Oldboy. Not the old boy, but the new Oldboy. And if you guys didn't get a chance to see this in the theaters, you can go to netflix.com/sourcefed, watch a movie of your own. You can join us on Movie Club.
And actually, the old boy is on Netflix.
Old Boy on Netflix, new Oldboy in theaters, split them up. I saw Old Boy before I saw this, and
I have not.
So
we're like the odd couple.
I know. Look at us. Let's draw a line, and you keep on that side.
Well,
the performances in this movie really ranged from awesome, I'm totally on board, to I don't believe a word coming out of your mouth, Charlton Copley.
I know. I love Charlton Copley so much, but to do like a prim, posh English accent, not gonna happen for you.
No.
I'm sorry. He's like, hello. I was describing it as like me trying to do an English accent.
Top
like,
of the morning to you.
Well, that's not English, but
Is that not?
You did like an Irish top of the morning.
Top of the morning to you.
Oh, who's got me looking charmed? It was like that.
He was an Irish Englishman. But he had a cool look to him.
Yes, very proper.
You said something that was like, he was like a Bond villain. It was kind of campy at parts.
It was.
Josh Brolin. Again, he's someone that won me over through the movie. At the beginning, I was like, oh gosh, like acting. And then at the end, really powerful climactic scene. No spoilers, but there is a movie moment. I will call it. It is just one of those things where you leave just being like, oh, like,
yeah.
I would hate
and
to
he
be
did
in
a
that
great
position.
job. He really like handled
Yeah.
it well. I do feel like at the beginning I really wasn't on his side, and by the end of the movie, like acting wise, he really sold me. Elizabeth Olsen, she took out her Mary Kate and Ashley's. Whew!
I know. She took out her Mary Kate. She named them Mary Kate and Ashley. And also, yeah, here's a little thing that we rarely do. You see boobs in the movie, and you see the top of the shaft of Brolin. A little bit of shaft in the movie. So if you're going to films for that, our theater was empty. So do what you will.
Which made the moans really weird.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I get into the movies. Okay, Elizabeth Olsen. She did an amazing job with a very mediocre script.
Yes.
There were certain lines in there that had me laughing out loud.
I know.
Her conviction to them was impressive. And then we also had, there was another guy, but
Samuel L. Jackson's also in this movie.
We had Samuel L. motherfucking Jackson.
And he says it like 15 times.
And like you could just see Spike being like, yo, Sam, that's not in the script. And he's like, I'm going to say what I want, motherfucker. He's like, sure, Sam, keep going. Just do your thing.
I thought the writing in the movie in particular, obviously they're following a storyline that they already had.
Yep.
But there were lines that made us laugh out loud. They were just so awkward.
Clunky, expositional. I use those words a lot to describe this kind of stuff, but it's like the older version of it, and you wouldn't know this, but there was a lot of times when I was watching that where I would have to pause and kind of like confer with the people I was watching with to make sure we were all on the same page and knew what was going on. You're not going to have to worry about that with this movie because there are some lines that are just like double explained.
It's literally like a headline that's like, such and such, the head mistress is interviewed, and they're like, I think she's the head mistress.
They say,
right
who
in
was
front
she?
of me.
That's the head mistress. And the screen's big enough that you could read the text. It was a whole lot of redundancy. I mean, like, there were also some moments where it's like you kind of have to question, like, well, how did that happen and why did that go in that direction? Without getting too specific, because a lot of this movie is spoilers. When you get into the synopsis of it, without spoiling, it's a man gets locked in a room for 20 years, and when he is framed for the murder and rape of his wife, and his daughter goes away, and then he gets out, and that's about all I want to say.
Yeah, that's all you can say.
Because the rest of it is the ride. If you guys are really antsy, go on Netflix right now and watch it. So I think Spike Lee did a pretty good job with this. There were certain shots that really had me, and then there were certain shots that really lost me. So there's this like he uses bird's eye view at some points.
Yeah, at the beginning a lot in the rain, but there was one where he's like kind of swirling around and then he like immediately swirls back and I didn't like it. I was like, oh, that's too jarring.
Yeah, there's a lot of movement in there. Looking at the style of the movie, so it starts out in 1993 and you see Josh Brolin in like a Brooks Brothers tux from 2013 and you're like, that's anachronistic, which means out of place in time. Great word. And there were certain times like when the bad guys were fighting in 2013, it's like they watched Three Ninjas Knuckle Up and they're like, that's where that. Let's all. Can I get the backward snap hat?
I thought it looked like they were the gang from the Bad video, Michael Jackson's Bad video. They like all showed up and were like, here we go. We are gonna beat you, mister, but not in 2 more 8 counts.
Yeah. There was that cool shot, which was like the side scroller. It kind of looked like a video game where Josh Brolin is making his way through a sea of bad guys. And in this movie, he trains himself in Kung Fu by watching old episodes of Kung Fu. And luckily for him, he only gets attacked one guy at a time, just like in the TV show. So he was totally prepared. That was wonderful.
I thought it was really well shot toward the end. There was something, though, where they do some flashback sequences where the people who are living the flashback are in the flashback sequence, and then the person telling the story obviously is looking around, interacting. The person listening to the story should not be looking around at the flashback like they can see it. You can't see anything.
That was weird.
Don't look around.
If they were going to do that, I feel like there needed to be, and it would have been okay had the person watching their own flashback vocalized or narrated.
Right, they were all just standing there staring, and I'm like, well, you're not remembering this.
And
you
when
can't
Elizabeth
see
Olsen
anything.
is following the phantom of a flashback with her eyes, you're like, I'm confused. Were you there? You weren't there. This movie was interesting. The story at the heart of it is such a good one. It's such an interesting one. There's a great movie moment at the end of it. So I'm gonna give this a 6 because although it lacks the soul of the original, it still has the fun journey.
Final thoughts for me. I thought the film, having not seen the original, I did think it was an interesting movie experience. I am motivated to go see the original now that I've seen this one. But I am curious to see what the soul of the original one is really like, because I felt like this one had such potential, and there was just something wrong with it. And actually, one of our editors, DJ, who had seen both, kind of described it like the original is like the Mona Lisa, and the new one is like a paint-by-numbers version of the Mona Lisa. And it's like they're the same picture, but one lacks soul. So I'm interested to see what the soul is. Having said that, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 as well, because I did enjoy myself, but it wasn't like, yay, I want to see that movie again. I'll never see it again.
I enjoy, I'll never see this version again either, but I did enjoy, like, there were parts that made me laugh out loud, and I kind of, like, am okay with that. We're not the only ones who got to see this movie. On IMDb right now, it has a 4.8.
And on Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 42 from critics, ouch, and a 47% from audiences. Again, ouch. I think most people are just feeling like, why was the movie remade at all? And that's kind of where the ratings are coming from.
Either that, or it's like, you won't see a movie like this for American audiences. Like, it deals with some really heavy themes that I think make a lot of people uncomfortable, and yet it got such a wide release that I think people, like, the trailer looked really good, and then the ending is gonna, like, blow your mind in, like, I'm very uncomfortable sort of way.
Very true.
So I could see a lot of people going into it expecting something and coming up feeling violated.
All right, guys, that's it for New Movie Thing Show. Don't forget, you can always go to netflix.com/sourcefed to get a free month of instant streaming, and then you can join us on our other show, Movie Club.
Ooh, I'm Ross Everett.
I'm Meg Turney.
You can click this annotation for a bunch of videos. Don't forget to click that like and subscribe button, and we'll see you guys next week.
Man, her Mary-Kate and Ashley's.
Right. I know. And you see a little bit of the badge.
Get a little
like
side
a little
machine.
bit, and butt crack, which people ask if I'm a butt or a tits guy. I'm a coin slotsman.